Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time to join in this session for this week on Technopreneurship. We are now on topic 4, which is all about environmental scanning and risks in the realm of technopreneurship. Now, as you can see on your screens right now, we have here our very own topic details, which includes the environmental scanning. You have the TOWS, PESTEL, and SWOT, the analysis of the competition and company differentiation, together with risks in the realm of technopreneurship, meaning we are to define the risks involved. Now, your learning objectives for this very topic is to assess possible competitors for strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, and to find risks associated with a chosen technopreneurial enterprise. So, quick reminder, please don't forget to check your ELMS handouts number 4 and view your online presentation via module 4. And also, your activities are only open for 1 week, so you better yet check your ELMS frequently for updates. So, let's start off with environmental scanning, the internal and external analysis of environment itself. Now, we know that organizational environment consists of both the external and internal factors. So, environment must be scanned so as to determine development, and at the same time, we may be able to forecast factors that will actually influence organizational success. Meaning, environmental scanning refers to the possession and utilization of information about occasions, patterns, trends, and relationships within the organization's internal and external environment. Now, what does this do? It actually helps managers decide the future path of your very organization. Scanning must identify the threats and opportunities existing in the environment. So, while strategy formulation at one end uh, helps an organization take advantage of the opportunities. At the same time, it helps minimize the threats. So, a threat for an organization may be an opportunity for another. On the other hand, we have the internal analysis of the environment. Now, this one is the very first step of environmental scanning, meaning organizations should observe the internal organizational environment, which of course includes your employees' interaction with the other employees, your employees' interaction with the management themselves, the manager's interaction with other managers, and the management interaction with the shareholders. So you also have access to natural resources, your brand awareness, organizational structure, your main staff, your operational potential, and so on. Also, you can do discussions, interviews, and surveys, which of course can be used to assess the internal environment. So, the analysis of internal environment itself helps in identifying strengths and weaknesses of the very organization that you are trying to build up. Now, on another side, external analysis has three correlated environment which should be studied and analyzed. First and foremost, it has an immediate or its industry or environment. Next is its national environment, and third is the broader socio-economic environment, or what we know as the macro environment. Examining the industry environment needs an appraisal of the competitive structure of the organization's industry, which of course includes the competitive position of a particular organization and its very main rivals. Now, you also need to assess the nature, the stage, the dynamics, even the history of the industry. Make sure that this is taken note of. Now, it also implies that evaluating the effect of globalization on competition within the industry, that's why analyzing the national environment needs an appraisal of whether the national framework helps in achieving competitive advantage in the globalized environment. Lastly, analysis of macro environment includes exploring your macroeconomic, your social, your government, your legal, even the technological and international factors that may influence the environment. So, the analysis of organizations' external environment reveals opportunities and threats for an organization. Now let's talk about conducting an environmental scan. So, environmental scanning is, as once again we know, it's the ongoing tracking of trends and occurrences in an organization's internal and external environment that bears on its success currently and, of course, in the future. Now, the results are extremely useful in actually shaping goals and strategies. So, effective environmental scanning examines both quantitative and qualitative changes. Ultimately, you should create a set of key environmental indicators. You have your internal, external, qualitative, and quantitative that you believe have the most important potential impact on the work that you do. So you have to consider internal and external factors. Now, these indicators, they may include internal issues and trends that are inherent to the institution, such as, say, budget issues, enrollment fluctuations, funding opportunities, and changes even in leadership. They may also include external factors in the environment outside of the institution that, of course, is much out of our control. What are these? You have demographics. It can be locally, regionally, nationally, and increasingly internationally. We are talking about population, racial or ethnic mix, immigration status, educational levels, those kinds of things. Politics and public policy. Now, these involves changes in governmental regulations, even federal financial aid policies, and public attitudes towards institutions of higher educations. You have economies related to local, regional, national, and international standards. You have the labor market. Now, the demand in relevant fields and the associated skills desired by employers. You also have academic interests. So, what are the popular fields and the employment interests of prospective students and their families? And of course, you also have technology, wherein the increasingly rapid changes in which, well, we know bear on nearly every aspect of higher education itself. Research at the same time. It changes in interest and funding from government, private, and even the foundation resources. Lastly, you have philanthropy. So, changes in available funding and in the attitudes, the interests, and approaches of the donors. So, those are considered external factors. Lastly, let's talk about the important factors for environmental scanning because before scanning the environment, any organization must take consideration of some of the following items that I will be talking about. First and foremost, events. Now, these are specific occurrences which take place in different environmental sectors of the very business that you belong to, that is. So these are actually important for the functioning and or success of the business because events can occur either in the internal or external environment, meaning organizations can observe and track them. Next is you have trends. So as the name suggests itself, trends are generally courses of action or tendencies along which the very event occurs. They are groups of similar or related events which tend to move in a specific direction. Further, these trends that we're talking about can be positive or negative. So, by observing trends, an organization can actually identify any change in the strength or frequency of the events, suggesting a change in the respective area. Next is you have issues. Now, in the wake of the events and trends, some concerns may arise, whether we like it or not. That usually happens. So, these are what we know of as issues. So, organizations, they try to identify emerging issues so that, say, they can take corrective measures to nip them in the bud. However, though, identifying emerging issues is actually a difficult task. So, usually emerging issues, they start with a shift in values or change in which the concern is being viewed. Lastly, you have expectations. So some interested groups have demands based on their concern for the issues. meaning these demands are your very expectations. So I hope may natutunan kayo kahit konti with regards to our brief discussion about environmental scanning and risks in the realm of technopreneurship. So please, group leaders, don't forget to check on your group members for your task performance. So you guys already know the submission date. It's already there posted in your Teams page. Okay, let me go ahead and check your announcements once again so that you guys can be reminded of your task. Your deadline is March 23, 5 p.m. As much as possible, please submit it before 5 p.m. so as to not send it at the 11th hour. Okay, I will be expecting your task via Elms and at the same time the draft for your introductory page, your executive summary, your chapters 1 and 2, which should be submitted via your group chats here in Teams. So this should be in doc format only. So before I leave you guys, please don't forget to respond to this very activity. This one is an individual activity for you guys. So this is actually somewhat of a game at the same time, but I need you guys to take note of this one. So this is the scenario that's happening. A technopreneur will be meeting his investors in the city, but he needs to ride his boat and cross a river. Now, on the riverbank, he saw a fox, a chicken, and a sack of corn. His dilemma is that he can only carry one thing at a time since he is carrying other products with him. If he brings with him the sack of corn, the fox will eat the chicken. If the man brings the fox with him, the chicken will eat the corn. So, how does the man do it? So, what you need to do is think of ways how to solve this problem. Strategize on your own and state your response via the chat box. I will be waiting for them, and I hope that you guys will have a good weekend ahead. So, study well. Your exams will be on Monday. And please don't forget to settle your accounts. All right? So, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day ahead. Bye, everyone.